Okay, thank you all so much for coming to the Abergavenny Writing Festival. We hope you've all had a fantastic day. It's very bright. So we are a small group from the Cardiff MA, as you were introduced by Lucy. We've created our own company for this event. How fantastic. So we're called Share Your Scribble, and we're doing a nice open mic night, and thankfully lots of you have decided to get involved, which we greatly appreciated by us. So just a few introductions from us. So we have Brian on the end, Ellie, Claire, I'm Kirsty, and we've got Liz and Abby as well. So we're all going to be doing a bit of hosting tonight, just getting you all up on stage. Just to remind you all, so the pieces are about 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes long. And just if you deal with any sort of topics, feel free to give some disclaimers at the beginning, just so everyone's prepared. Just as you woo! And we hope you guys have a fantastic open mic session. So to start off with, we have Hattie Duke, who is reading for us. If Hattie is here, she is amazing. Let's give Hattie a lovely warm welcome.
Thank you. So my little disclaimer is actually a thank you to Lily. I'm feeling a bit emotional after hearing Lily's pieces. I've got twin boys who are a year older than Lily's son. And thank you, Lily, for encouraging me to keep writing through the crazy, amazing journey of small boys. This piece is called Implantation Compassion. After a few days of freefall from ovary to womb, the minute cluster of cells landed and began to grow roots in the wall of the uterus. My mother felt shocked. A spark ignited in her body, the cue to begin nourishing new life again. I wonder if that is where the rage begins. As a tiny ember of unconscious shock. The wild rage that erupts as a passionate volcano and threatens to burn all that I love. I wonder if the story went something like this. I wonder how many stories went something like this. As a baby, your mother carried you to air raid shelters. The seed of my life was in you even then, the ovum that would form part of me. You lived your young life under the shadow of a strict father and a distant mother. You fell in love with a kind, good-looking man with promising prospects. Within a couple of years, after enjoying playing tennis, some parties, and getting used to daily life as wife of a man at sea, you fell pregnant. What a joy! You gave birth with hospital staff for company, easily apparently. Soon, another boy came along. You gave birth alone in hospital. I wonder if by then, or even earlier, you had already had enough of being alone, washing nappies and tending crying babies. Before long came a third boy. This time, your husband was there to experience the miracle of birth. Tired now, you settled into a home you could finally call your own. You had moved every 2 years of your nearly 10-year marriage. You had a thyroid operation. It went a bit wrong. You were told not to have any more children. He was away visiting wonderful places. You at home, doing your bit, being mummy to 3 boys, 6, 4, and 2 years old. In between, being the charming, beautiful wife, serving up impeccable dinner party feasts when the men came home after serving Queen and country. And then that fourth one, the shock, and then the excitement of birthing a girl. But she came out screaming, black-haired and red-faced. You panicked as you saw your own rejected self. So you put her in the pram at nap time and left her at the bottom of the garden. Babies need plenty of fresh air and a good routine. Thank you.
Thank you, Hattie. That was so powerful. I really enjoyed hearing that. Next up, we have the beautiful Abby, who's going to be sharing some sonnets with us, I think.
Snuck round. Yes, sonnets are not great for reading in public, but that's fine. These are two sonnets that are both called Spring, which I thought was appropriate for, April. Spring. Valentine, lush green growing, stinging nettles, bloody heart, dear heart, broken heart, heart's tongue fern, fresh bitten onion, sweet crimson wild strawberry flesh, my stinging, nettled, bitten crimson lips, dog roses, early blooming, half-hearted. I cannot breathe the city air anymore. My lungs catch and ache. Ragged robins, hawthorn, buckthorn, blackthorn, sloe. I draw the specks of blood from berry skin until my teeth turn red. Atropa belladonna, blood and gore, I know you all too well. A forest's feast, hemlock, oleander, amanita, narcissus, digitalis purpurea, Valentine. The second one's also called Spring. You are a living, breathing, poisonous thing, skipping over cracks in the pavement under the looming tenement houses. Cobblestone tarmac, cement, red brick, manicured grass marred by stubborn daisies, daffodils, dandelion clocks, fresh flowers pushed through asphalt, Victorian bricks, clinging ivy, iron gates. You don't know the Latin name for pests, or clouds, or hedges, or old saints. Useless, the churches befriend the roundabouts, swirling out a fog that aches your insides. The poison will kill you sooner or later, and all you can do is stand there breathing. If I have enough... They're really short, so I'll just keep reading until someone tells me to stop. It seems obvious to do the summer ones next. Summer, dye-streaked, punch-drunk fingertips. I'm trying to become a different person. The firelight turns her hair to glowing amber, and feet sink into the sand, and I stumble, heart stuttering in unlikely rhythms. Her fingers fit the hinge of my jaw, just so. The marshmallows adhere to my lips, the ghost of an angry kiss. I used to pick carefully through the rock pools, gripping the edge with curled toes. I would let the anemones kiss my skin. And now I run wildly, drunkenly, hand in hand to the shoreline, knee-high, waist-high, submerging. I let the salt water leach the red from my hair. Lately, you seem to want to be 5 steps away from everyone else, decorating yourself in bird of paradise colours and talking dangerously with your hands. Barefoot on a broken bottle beach, you drink rum and dance too close to the fire that reflects off your companion's hair, and your lips are cracked and burned already. You used to be young and careful with it, dipping bare toes in sun-warmed pools, but now you abandon your careless dress under the watchful eye of the moon, and run, laughing and apathetic, to be baptized by the midnight ocean.
I love a sonnet, and I haven't heard many like that before, so that was brilliant. Next up, we do have Pat, and Pat actually runs a Writing for Fun workshop here at the Melville Theatre, so if anybody wants to talk to her about it later, please do, but if not, give it up for Pat.
Hi, just to say I have to give a warning that we've had a lot of talk about birth this evening, and I'm a bit older than some of the other young people here, so I'm talking about the other end. And I have to say this definitely would not have been written if I hadn't been helping out at the festival this week. Because I was sat on the edge with my little badge doing nothing particular during Kath Burton and Liz Aitken's flash fiction session a couple of days ago. And I didn't even have a pen and paper, which for a writer who isn't quite as young as you guys is a bit of a problem. But I had my phone. And the inspiration was a photo Kath showed of an apple, and it's called The Final Apple. I have to take my glasses off, sorry. There was one important apple in the Garden of Eden, and it is forever associated with innocence and evil. Then Apple Records took the apple to new creative heights. And then, years later, Steve Jobs stole the word and made it commercial. The bitten into apple is now recognised the world over, a reach even Paul McCartney and his mates barely achieved. But for me, the real apple is a small, crisp fruit. A Cox's orange pippin, a glorious name for a taste of autumn. Crisp, crunchy, and definitely juicy. But I recall all this as I lie here, tubes in most orifices, and I see a picture on the wall, a still life of a bowl of fruit. But the piece that draws my attention is the apple with its red and brown blush of a Cox. So as I lift my hand to the tube entering my esophagus, the tube that is keeping me alive, I give one small smile, recalling that bite, and then I use all my diminishing strength and pull.
Pat, that was absolutely brilliant. I got hungry halfway through with the talk of apples, and by the end of it I didn't want to eat it all, if I'm honest. Fantastic. I love it when good writers give us good stuff, isn't it? So let's get the next one up. I think a lot of people are going to know this next fella up. To be honest, he is wearing the loudest, best shirt in here tonight. Yeah, you know it already. He's also been taking a lot of photographs and that here. But if everybody could put their hands together and go crazy, he's going to do a poem of my favourite thing in the whole wide world. Put your hands together for Dominic, please.
Thank you very much. Well, I'd better tell you what the poem is about then, hadn't I? It's about a bar. It's about an Irish bar. It's called Mary's Bar, and it's about a conversation that took place in that bar with it was the Welsh artist Iwan Bala was in the bar. I wasn't involved in the conversation. I was just a witness. But I'll dedicate this poem tonight to Lily. The woman waits. She is 8,000 years born and has flowed through Laurentide flows. A sage and a seer, nursed 1,000 siblings of a species long since displaced. A sacrificial spouse cracked open a womb that spewed east. But migration matters no more. The stars navigate no longer. Supernovas, but moments, foretelling the arrival of a significant one, for the land to welcome home her sun-kissed litter. The vessel now at shrunken rest, matriarchal in urban anonymity, within a gift, a symbol veiling an epistle marks this rebirth. An installation water-sealed and hard-knuckle woven, tough branches of rebellion bent and interlaced to bear safe a positive force. The power of a creative thought consummated at this predetermined place in this predetermined time. The Berber flees, unsettled and unsure, carrying his name in his heart, an isthmus, looking for land, sailing, mechanically propelled, pursued by lens and light to a darkened alley, destined to document his significance. And from the south, brushing shores, superficial trade, a man laid naked, an unknown return, an epiphany. And she who was waited, she just dances like a child. Thank you very much.
Well, apparently we're all being put to shame tonight because he just recited that without a single piece of paper. So, never mind. Next up, we have a lady some of you may know, some of you may not. She has partaken in one of Lily's workshops, actually. Please put your hands together for Carly.
this is really out of my comfort zone. I was a late reader and told that I wasn't particularly good at writing, but I went to Lily's workshop and exploring the theme of motherhood and a stream of consciousness of writing, and this is as it came out on that workshop. So I've got 3 young children, and when I was just a few weeks before my first child was born, my mum died, and this is about that time. Things are going to change. The safety gone like a rug being pulled from under your feet. World shook. No voice at the end of the phone to call, to ask for advice or share your joys. She won't be there to put the kettle on, sneak a load of washing into the machine, stealth help. You'll need to learn to ask. She won't be there to dry your tears. She won't be there to hold your baby as you rest. She won't be there with dinner in her hands as she knocks the door. It's not her walking down your garden path. You need to learn to ask for help. You'll have to hold all that grief whilst learning how to breastfeed. She won't be there to hold your hand. She won't be there to kiss you on the forehead. There is no stealth help. You need to learn to ask yourself what you need. Communicate it. It'll take years. Be gentle on yourself. You are a motherless mother.
Oh, wow, Carly, that was fantastic. You've absolutely nothing. That was so moving. Oh, wow. And I'm sure Lily is very proud of what you were able to produce in that workshop. That was beautiful. Up next, we have one of the members of the MA group. We have Ellie, who's doing a monologue for you all. Woo!
I'm doing a monologue, and it kind of fits with the theme of a lot of the other pieces. It's from the perspective of a woman who's just found out she's pregnant, and she really doesn't want to tell her boyfriend about it. I haven't told Dan yet. He's got so much on his plate at the moment. He's stressed enough about work. I mean, he's always stressed about work. He's an accountant, but not the boring kind, I promise. He just loves organisation and spreadsheets. Plus, his grandma's just had a hip replacement. It just wouldn't be fair of me to tell him now. I met Lauren for a coffee this morning. She wouldn't shut up about how well she thought I looked. "Oh my God, you are glowing," she said. I told her I'd bought a new moisturiser. Neil's Yard. That seemed to impress her. But then she said, "Have you put weight on?" I wanted to throw my latte at her. I went to the gym after, but it was too busy. I think people go just to watch the telly. You could never get a bike when Holly and Phil are on. I already know what Dan will say. He'll say it'll be good for us, that it's the next very normal step in our relationship. I suppose he'd be right. He's always right, annoyingly. I do love him, honestly, I do. But also there's just so much I don't love. Like when he wears jeans casually around the house. Like, chill out and put some fucking jogging bottoms on, dude. Or the fact that his idea of a fun Friday night is staying home and watching Happy Gilmore for the 100th time. Last week he tried it on mid-movie and my whole body tensed up. I mean, I practically recoiled. He was hurt, I could tell. I hate hurting him. So I told him I had a UTI because his dick was so huge and my vagina needed a break. I guess it's just the hormones messing with my sex drive. Or Adam Sandler. Man, I hate that guy. When I woke up the next morning, there was a carton of cranberry juice on the kitchen counter. He must have gotten up early to buy it. It made me cry. Again, must be the hormones. None of my other boyfriends have been dad material. I mean, they weren't even boyfriend material. With Dan, it's so different. He's kind. He makes me cups of tea every morning. He texts me regularly during the day. I don't even have to text him first. The others would never text. Not even a cute emoji just to touch base. Like the one that's a smiley face with the little love hearts around it. That's all I wanted, you know, a cute emoji. I'm just so tired all the time, even more so than usual. I just feel so empty. Like there's a piece of me missing, which is kind of funny when you think about it. I'm going to tell Dan tonight. No, not tonight. It's Bake Off tonight. I'm going to tell him tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Thank you. Hello, MA student. But when she's performing her poetry, she likes to be referred to as Niamh Griffiths. That's her pen name. So, there you go. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to top that now. Damn. Yeah, I'm going to bring the tone down slightly. Sorry. This is a poem I wrote in lockdown, actually. And when we were talking about COVID earlier, I was thinking what happened for me personally and why I decided to write so much. And I think it was more just a way of dealing with a lot of my emotions and a lot of things that happened. So yeah, this poem is called Wearing Shorts on a Summer's Day. It's also the first poem that I ever spoke out loud as part of my MA course. And I think it's fitting that I say it today as well. So, wearing shorts on a summer's day. Your cat call, wolf whistle, sign of appreciation of my dungarees, my red striped tee that clearly said I wish to be objectified today and every day that I second guess my outfit because it would be my fault if I was asking for it with a skirt just a little too short. Above the knee, thighs seen by the world, and his wife would disapprove because she has lived with his misogynistic views that now fall upon deaf ears. Numb from the daily pats on the bottom, grabbing anatomy behind closed doors or even out in the open because his property is his castle. Yet he carves cracks into her walls, paints her how he pleases, shows her off when it suits because she was a looker back in the day. But now she's showing her age and she's too tired to argue. She's too frail to have a voice, and now when he treats her like a piece of meat, she smiles and agrees, and another queen is confined to the kitchen. So at 14, when I was groped, I learnt to be silent. Because I'd be silenced either way, when compliments are hurled like sewage from a van by an unseen man who is everywhere, is everyone, who forces young women to accept that this is as good as it gets, that there is no white picket fence while endless judgment is the norm and nice tits is the highest form of flattery, especially when yelled out from a moving van. Well, screw your misogyny, and I'm sorry I don't sound like a lady and that offends you, sweetheart. I'll take a compliment when it's not about my body, which I felt you undressed with your snake eyes 10 times over the course of this conversation. And I'll ask you this question that you will never answer. Imagine if the roles were reversed and I was the cancer who called out to you while you were defenceless and alone. Modestly dressed, but you and I both know that won't hold up in court. So I will not kick up a fuss and draw attention to myself any more than you already have. Instead, I will bide my time. I'll write down what I've seen in words that are mine, that not even you can make me change. Not even you will make me feel ashamed for wearing shorts on a summer's day and a t-shirt in spring. Because I could wear anything, and it would never be your place to say a word, to make a single sound in regard to how I dress my body. I'm not asking for much in all honesty, just a few steps towards equality. So next time I'm in my denim, roll your window up. Hold your breath as you pass me, and keep your damn mouth shut. Thank you.
The first time I heard Claire doing that poem, I remember sitting there and thinking to myself, do you know what? I wish I could get up and say something now. Because that's an issue that should address men as well as women. It's something that it should be part of an education. It shouldn't be held in poetry groups that are just women there, and it's nice for me to get up and say it because Claire's obviously a very good friend of mine too, even though she's shit at drinking shots. It's only ever us two, is it? But it's a great thing to say, and to be honest, if you don't mind, do you mind giving another round of applause? Is that okay? Yeah? Because Claire is a queen, and you know what? We've got another one coming next. Another good friend of mine, do you know what I mean? And on top of that, I have to stay with the five of them, so I have to be as nice as fucking possible up here right now, or I'm dead. Can you all go crazy? Put your hands together for another good friend of mine, for Liz.
So as you can tell, I'm the scary one. Ironically, this piece was kind of fits in with the theme of motherhood and the idea of that, though nowhere near as brilliantly directed. But I would also like to thank Claire, because it's partly her fault I wrote it. So screw you. Sometimes when I open my mouth, I hear you come out. It's an odd sensation hearing someone else's voice on your own tongue. No one around you notices the subtle difference. Most of the time, they don't know it's you at all. I suppose it's similar to how people react when they learn that I'm not you. Like when I answer the phone and your friends start talking about their lives or picking up where you left off and I have to interrupt their soliloquy. Sorry, Pip, did you want my mum? Christ alive, you sound like your mother. It's not a bad thing. I used to find it quite funny, actually. I could probably call anyone and pretend to be you. Though what I would use that superpower for, fuck knows. Maybe I'm just not being creative enough. There are other things I've inherited. Your green eyes, your thick hair, your tongue-in-cheek wit. But nothing as similar as your voice. The tone of anger when the whip needs cracking, or the sharp edge of authority when you're leading a team. I learned how to use these things like weapons, watching from the sidelines before I understood what I saw. It was like a game of chess. Wait to see what they play before you decide how to counter. Would it be the disarming laugh that shows the carefree rebel child that I know you were? Will it be the deep rumble of thunder, the how dare you, that makes kings quiver? And then there's the lullaby, the ebbing and flowing of lyrical sweetness behind every rise and fall. The steady rhythm of breath between words all mean the same thing. You love me. I've watched you sing it to my sisters, and I saw the world around them soften. Don't mistake me. I don't just mean the tone of voice that we share. There are things to be said. The wisdom of a world changed before me. Anecdotes to carry into my own every day. The gentleness of your goodbye. Bye, bye. It's the soft last word that you have to get in, whether you know it or not, or rather whether you admit it or not. You can light fires with your voice. I've seen it over and over when there's a system to fight or a victim to be saved, and your words create a spark and your volume creates the wind. Before you know it, the fires of a generation have been lit, and the smoking ashes of hypocrisy is all that's left. Your voice is blessed. My own voice isn't as practiced yet. Mine still falters and cracks, stammers and trips like a newborn foal struggling to walk. Mine is still a wretch, but I'm learning. All the subtle ways to say I love you. Call me when you get home. Have you been eating properly? Don't forget to rest. They go hand in hand with get your shit together. You gotta work for what you want, and don't let anybody get in your way, baby. It's a vocal orchestra that you and I conduct. Your voice is my amazing grace. Thank you.
Thank you. Another amazing poem there, Liz. Honestly, I love it when you read for all of our open mics. Genuine. I mean that. Next up, we have someone who may or may not have mentioned the fact that she loves monologues. So I don't want to assume, Kirsty, but I think she might be doing a monologue for you, and I think you're in for a real treat. So put your hands there for Kirsty, please. Yeah, big surprise. I'm going to do a monologue for you guys. I never really do them. It's sort of a running thing. I love to write. I love, in a monologue, you can become a character that you can't be in real life, and you can say the things that you can't really say to someone because you're in a character, so you can say it. So that's why I quite like the form as sort of a way of escape. So this is a piece about this very extravagant, one would say, director of a theatre company. And finally, that's one card for you. Perfect. Although you only really came to 3 rehearsals, so tradition is tradition, I suppose. As the director, you have to make sure you give back to the little people. The ones who breathe off every syllable, everything that you utter. You have to understand, as the director of the Shakespeare Amateur Dramatic Enthusiast Society, I have a reputation to maintain. I must let you know, I was the pivotal role of tree number 3 in Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber's revival of The Wizard of Oz. My fans were everywhere I looked, and I can't even grasp at the thought of letting them down, even a millimetre. Oh, the humiliation if I did. And Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber, though he did like to be referred to by Andy, by me, because we're friends. I must make sure I channel him so I can make sure I deliver every ounce of wisdom of acting that they desire. Yes, there have been a few small inconveniences along the way, but they have been swiftly dealt with, and I can assure you that I have prepared my actors for every single situation. I channel my mother, And as she used to say, you have to get on that horse before you run into the hedge. Now, I'm not quite sure what she meant by that, but with these actors, you say something philosophical and they draw a deep meaning from them. I suppose I could always fill in a role if one appeared, only as a last resort, I promise you. I have to make sure that the local people have their moment to shine. They all can't be like me, can they? Now, you cannot even begin to grasp the mammoth task I was when I first joined the C.I.C. a couple of months ago. The basic acting vernacular language was lost on them. The poor things couldn't tell the difference between stage right and upstage centre, though through my military drills, I whipped them into shape. Even my young little Will, he's got involved and it's so exciting. I'm so blessed to have such a young angel for a son. He's even volunteered to fill in for one of the roles if one appeared. Or well, say, someone fell ill. But as they say in the business, the show must go on, no matter what happens. Thank you. Okay, so we have one final reader for our open mic slot today. And speaking on behalf of our group, without this person, quite frankly, we wouldn't even be here. We'd probably be drinking in a pub somewhere. Maybe doing karaoke, though it is a Saturday. We normally save up for Thursdays. And this person has really helped us in going above and beyond what the university curriculum delivers, and just casually mentioned, oh, there's this writing festival if you guys want to get involved. Like, I can help you. And we were like, yeah, sure, of course we will. And look at us now, we've had such a fantastic day. So firstly, I'd like to say a thank you on behalf of us to Bob for arranging us to come down here. So if we can give him a round of applause first before he reads. And now we have Bob to be our final performance. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you very much. When you reach a certain age, as one or two of you might be aware of, then the memory is a strange beast. You can remember with great clarity and vividness things which are decades and decades ago, so I can remember vividly playing as a child down by my local river, the Rumney River in Cardiff. I can remember going down Ball Lane towards the river and hearing it and getting excited and playing, probably in a way that young children might not be allowed to do nowadays. But also at this age, having done lots of readings in my time, I can't remember a fucking word of any of my poems. And so I've never read a poem without the book or without the page. So I'm going to have a go at it tonight, because Lily said it was her first reading. So this is my first reading, I think, without a book, but the book's here just in case. And the poem is about that river that I used to play at, called Avon Rumney. There's no river like your first river. Down the years of your life it rolls forever. At the end of Ball Lane you hear its call. From the hills to the sea it flows and falls. There's no river like your first river. From Bargoed to the Lambies, it flows forever. At the end of Ball Lane, it flows and falls. From Rumney to the Channel, you hear its call. There's no river like your first river. From Llanbradach to Llanrumney, it rolls forever. At the end of Ball Lane, you hear its call. From Ystrad Mynach to Machen, it flows and falls. There's no river like your first river. From Bedwas to Drythan, it rolls forever. At the end of Ball Lane, it flows and falls. From Bargoed to Kevin Mabley, it flows and falls. There's no river like your first river. Down the years of your life, it rolls forever. At the end of Ball Lane, you hear its call. From the hills to the sea, it flows and falls. Thank you.